Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is Jon and Mike's MMA Corner.
Let's start then with the UFC Embedded, which had Daniel Cormier, Jon Jones, which didn't end up being Daniel Cormier, Jon Jones. It ended up changing opponents, sadly, and it being OSP, and then it was all that palaver. And in the mix of it all, I see a man with a knife cutting some vegetables and cooking some food for Jon Jones, and it was yourself, man. And I've got to say, I was a little bit. I swelled up a little bit with joy, you know. I was like, fucking, that is awesome seeing you on there, Lou. It was a great little moment, like seeing it. I was like, get in there, man. Hard work pays off, people. And that's a great example right there.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was a very surreal moment, to be honest with you. You know, it really was.
And working with Jon Jones, you know, that obviously you ended up working kind of with Volosky as well. I suppose, was that because of you went down with Josie Torres to do work with him because he was down at Winklejohn? Is that how that came about, or?
No, actually, after Johnny Hendricks' fight, I got to fly home for 10 days, and then I knew that I was going to be working with Jon, or at least, you know, have the opportunity to meet him and see if we would be able to work well together after Hendricks' fight. I learned that fight week for Johnny Hendricks' fight. So after Johnny's fight, I got to fly home for 10 days and pack the bag, and the deal was, I'm either flying out there for 10 weeks or I may get there, he might not like me, and I may have to fly home the same day. So it was a risk that I was willing to take. And, you know, I flew out there. We met, we hit it off, got along from the start. And after I was there for a couple of weeks, I know Shorty Torres was getting ready for another fight. And I had recommended maybe him coming down to Jackson's gym, Jackson Wing Gym, to train some of his training camp there, because I knew that I could get to keep an eye on him, and I also knew that there was a shark tank of killers that was just training there, and it would be great for him. So he decided to come out, and that's how that kind of worked out.
Oh, right, okay, then that's kind of cool, man. I suppose then, look, when you're working with someone like Jon Jones, you know that there's a lot of eyes on him, a lot of attention. And for you yourself, you step back, you're just doing your job, you're kind of focused on your own thing. With his nutrition side of things, did he tell you what kind of nutrition he had before it, what he was doing prior to you rocking up? Did he give you like, oh, well, you know, wait, before you turn up here, this is my normal week of what I'd eat X, Y, and Z. Did you know what he was like before you got your hands on him?
Absolutely. You know, it's something that I do with all my clients. It's very important for me to understand their eating habits prior. You know, I don't want to come in like gangbusters and just restructure everything, because at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be just my way. You know, at the end of the day, if something is working, whether I agree with it or I disagree with it, I agree with results and I agree with the mind. So I may not agree with, you know, what somebody is doing, but if I ask them, how do you feel, and they tell me they feel great, well, then I agree with it. And in Jon's case, you know, unlike every other fighter that I had, and this is no knock on my guys, obviously, but every other fighter that I've had has had weight issues, whether it be, you know, Eddie Gordon cutting 20 pounds the day before, you know, weigh-ins, or Johnny missing weight, Shorty having a hard time coming down on weight, Aljamain coming in a little bit too heavy. You know, Jon has never had a problem making weight. Jon has never missed weight, never had a problem making weight, never had a problem, never said that he felt, you know, bad from a weight cut. And I learned that a lot of that was due to his fiancée. His fiancée is somebody who you know, preaches healthy food and healthy mind and that kind of stuff. And she was cooking for him, you know, for however long they've been together. So I got him with a fairly clean slate, which just made my job that much easier. You know, I just moved some pieces around, I tweaked a couple of things, I implemented some things that were very important to me in my protocol, like post-workout shakes are very specific, and stuff to have before, and, you know, so I got him with a really clean slate because of her, which just made my job that much easier.
Because my question really is, before he got the fight announced, he was doing the weightlifting, the powerlifting, and we saw the videos on Instagram that he was posting. He was lifting big. He was getting, basically, how do you say, is yoked. He looked absolutely massive. And my thought was, I was like, dang, that's going to be a killer cutting down back to 205. How much mass will you have to cut off, etc. How was that for you, balancing that? Was that a bit difficult, or?
Well, no, it's funny you say that because, of course I follow Jon's career. Because in my opinion, I think that he is the best, mixed martial artist. And I followed his career, and when I saw him getting, I knew he was about every bit of 240 pounds back then. And you got to remember, that's the world I come from. My degree is in exercise science. I've been in that industry for 16 years. The gym that I ran in North Jersey, majority of the pro bodybuilders would come there to train. The gym was just that, fantastic and suited to that kind of lifting. So I'm very familiar with it. And the first thing I said was, number one, that's the first time Jon, A, ever did powerlifting like that, and B, got that big. I said, I guarantee you he's going to have an issue coming down on weight. And that's not a knock on anybody. No. It's just if you're not accustomed to putting on that much muscle mass, you're going to end up losing a lot of your strength if you try to do it the same way you've done it before. And then ironically enough, he had reached out through a mutual friend, and I think that was kind of the concern, and which is why we ended up working together, in my opinion, that, he wanted to make sure that he can still do some powerlifting and still maintain his strength, but also obviously come down in weight and be healthy while doing it. So I sat down with his strength and conditioning coach. We got along really, really well. I think he's an excellent strength and conditioning coach. And it was really just, like I said, easy because we were all on the same page,
Because, for example, let's say you've got 10 clients. You can't sit there and give each of those clients the same meal plan. Obviously, depending on the weight class, etc., you tweak the grams of each meal, but because each food obviously affects a person differently. For example, I could have rice and I could get lean off it, but then someone could have rice and it just sticks to them. How do you find that out? Like, how do you find out what works on their body? Is it just like literally trial and error? You have to spend a bit of time with certain foods to find out?
Well, that's a great point, because that's exactly what it is. On one hand, you're right. Foods react differently to everybody. And there's many different theories as to why. But the one theory for me that I focus on is mentally. So they have like an example. What I mean by that is you have the blood type diet. Okay, based off of your blood type, that says that you should eat, A, B, C, and D. Well, what if you don't enjoy those things? Here's the thing. If a textbook and a lab result says that you should eat this, but if mentally and emotionally you don't enjoy it, you're not going to feel the effects or benefits to it, to its fullest potential, because you still have to account for the mind affecting the body. And I think a lot of, quote unquote fitness experts, they preach from textbooks, and it just doesn't work that way, in my opinion, because if it did, then we wouldn't need to go to doctors, because if we had an ailment, we can go online and say, okay, here's our symptoms. Well, the textbook says based off of that, take this medicine and you'll be fine. Well, it doesn't happen that way, So for me, it's a 24-hour process, and I'm constantly asking the same questions. How are you feeling? What's going on? How are you feeling? And it's a quick adjustment to make. If they're not feeling a certain way, then you just know on the fly what adjustments to make. But a lot of my core principles stay the same. It's just really trying to customize it to the individual mentally and to their palate as well.
Because, for example, I don't drink coffee myself. I can't do coffee. Don't like the smell of it. I can't do the taste, any of it. But quite a lot of people use coffee. I believe it's a diuretic as well. They use it for that in the mornings. They'll have a black coffee and all this stuff. And for example, then there you go. That's something off my list that I couldn't use as a benefit for keeping in shape. So that's what I mean. Like you must have like a kind of list of 4 or 5 items then that. Because if you don't like coffee, right, you can do A, B, or C. Then, if you don't like that, you can carry on. Is that something that you have to have in place, set ready?
It's interesting that you bring up the coffee, because this is going to sound like a double negative in a sense, but I do drink coffee myself. I do consume some caffeine myself, but I have rules when consuming caffeine. I don't agree with consuming it within an hour and a half before or after exercise. It is a natural diuretic. Exercising is going to dehydrate you.
Yeah.
Most of these fighters are already dehydrated to begin with.
Yeah.
It's going to speed up your heart rate unnaturally. And for me, more important than anything else, it's an appetite suppressant.
Yeah.
And what that means is it suppresses the body's natural ability to tell you what it needs. So one of the things that I focus on is getting my clients to get the hormone levels to fire the way that they should, and you can do that, certain hormones, you can do that by balancing the right protein, carbohydrates, and fats. And now I want your body to tell me exactly what it needs. So if you're loading up on a bunch of caffeine, your body's natural ability to tell us that is suppressed.
Yeah.
Which is why that I kind of refrain from, large amounts of it. But again, I've had clients who, were sponsored by Monster and they were drinking a ton of Monster. So you just try to limit it as best as you can.
Yeah, because for example, you got to think Cowboy Cerrone. He's that classic example of he always has a Budweiser or a Monster in his hand, and what he's doing, it's work. Whatever he does, it works for him. And if he's got his kind of weight cutting down, and now it's not so much because he's up to 170, but when it was 155, he was making weight, so it doesn't matter. He was somehow getting it done, and whether that was having a Budweiser or what, it works. But he's a great example of each body's different. For example, I walk past the bakery and I just smell that. I put 20 pounds on, never mind eating anything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody's body is different.
Yeah.
That's why, again, for me, it's a mental thing. I don't operate through textbook. I learned from textbooks, but I am a human, and I work with my clients as if they're humans. Not lab rats. And I think that that's actually a really big difference as to what it is that I do versus really the majority of the health and fitness industry. Not just the other people in the industry that I'm in.
Yeah, I can, because I sort of obviously with Aljamain and Jon Jones and Jose Torres and even Hendricks, everyone that you've had done, do you have an optimal percentage? Because obviously their weight classes are different, so you probably, I may imagine, if I work on percentages, do you have an optimal percentage of how much you want them to weigh, for example, fight week, and when they weigh in, how much they put on after? Do you have a rough idea? Because you obviously don't want someone to come in there dropping 20 pounds the day before, then putting on 20 pounds after, because you go, you're not going to feel too good at doing this.
Right. So the way I try to set it, and I use the word try, because again, at the end of the day, they're going to do what they want to do, which is fine. But so my philosophy is I try to get my guys to not be any more than 15 pounds over their actual weight class walking around. And then for certain guys, coming in no more than 10 to 12 pounds fight week. I think anything over, anything close to 20 pounds fight week is obsessive, and to me is an extreme weight cut. Anything over 20 pounds. Yeah. So as long as you stay within that realm, you're okay. But on the other side of things, you got a guy like Jose Torres, who for his last 2 fights, we've come into fight week on weight.
Yeah.
And, he's a savage. He's 2-0, feels great. Submitted, his pro debut, submitted the guy in the first round who was 4 inches taller than him with a standing guillotine, and then just was in a 3-round beating session. And that's no disrespect to his opponent.
He absolutely, mollywopped him.
For 3 rounds, and now we're going to 25. And so, and for Jon, he was a little bit heavier. So it really just depends on where they feel the most comfortable. So what I try to do is depending on what weight we hold the longest time closest to the fight.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we want to try to get back to after weigh-ins.
Yes.
So it may be 10 pounds, it may be 12 pounds, but I want your body to feel like we've done nothing dramatic.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, because I was curious about that, because last thing you want to do is see a guy put on 1 pound, because then you'd be curious about why his body's not reacting. Then again, you don't want him to balloon up, because then he's carrying that excess weight.
But look at 2 things. Not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but look at 2 things, because I have been criticized, really criticized by 2 people. One, a guy who interviewed me, and somebody else. But all my guys are too light. My guys are too light. Mayweather gains 1 pound when he steps into the ring to fight. And he's pretty hard to hit.
Yeah.
And you got a guy like Frankie Edgar. When Frankie won the belt at 55, his walk around weight was 56.
Yeah. Just walk around like that.
So Exactly. So, there's a lot of variables, and again, my focus is just where they're at mentally.
George St. Pierre walked around about 190.
Right, another guy who refused to blow up, which is, again, pretty good in my opinion. You know what I mean?
It's not. I'm with you on that one. I don't think there's such a thing as too small, because if you're technically better, that size of...
Well, that's what people forget to mention. Again, Shorty literally was on weight the week of fight week. On weight. On weight. So people kind of discredit everybody wants an advantage. And this is what I try to explain to people. Everybody wants an advantage when they step into the ring, and I understand that. As a competitive person myself, I understand wanting an advantage, but at the same token, if you know yourself and you know your talents, and you know your opponent, not to be cliche again and quote the art of war, know yourself, know your opponent, you'll win over 1,000 battles. So a lot of these guys focus more on the edge that they have versus just looking at themselves and knowing who they are, what they're capable of, and having that switch mentally that, hey, nothing is going to come in between me and beating that person. And I think that a lot of these guys overlook that, and they put too much into, all right, well, if I'm just 3 pounds heavier, I'm going to have an advantage, or 5 pounds or 10 pounds. No, your mind is the advantage. You know?
Well, a good example would be, if you look at the Aljamain, Jon Jones, and Torres fight recently, because they all went the distance, they all were able to go the distance. They weren't, like you said, people saying like the guy's too small, but their conditioning was on point, so there's no such thing as too small. It's not like they were depleted going in there. They obviously were fully hydrated, fully refueled, and had the energy to go forward. Because, for example, myself, I had the problem of going on the scales, looking like I was a cancer patient, coming off, dying all day, and then after the weigh-ins, then the day of the fight, dying all day, going in there feeling like a deflated balloon. I just couldn't do anything, and that's... I thought of doing 3 rounds. I was like a nightmare, that was for me.
Absolutely, it should be,
And it should be more a case of, I should be feeling great. I should be looking forward to those 3 rounds. I should feel like they're easy. I should be buzzing, a bit of energy about me. But for me, I just couldn't do it. So that shows that, obviously, from my perspective, from my side of things, I'm doing the cutting wrong, the refueling wrong, and it looks like you're getting the cutting and the refueling right. And that shows that there is a difference, and there's a balance, and it's huge.
Absolutely, and it makes a difference. And here's the thing too that a lot of people seem to forget or overlook. Some of the guys that I've worked with, yes, they've lost their fight. John won his fight, Shorty won his fight. Actually, Aljamain's last fight, him and I actually didn't work together. But his fight before that he had won, him and I had worked together. Johnny's last fight, and so on and so on. And here's the thing: the first question I ask my guys when they come off the mat, how did you feel? And every one of them have all said the same thing. I felt great. I felt strong. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel weak. It's the best I've ever felt, And I think that gets overlooked because people want to look at their performance and overlook their opponent as well. Like, how about giving the opponent some credit, and ask the person, how did you feel? Well, I felt great. Okay, so then let's figure out how we can even improve even more, and what else we can do to be even better than what we were, because shouldn't that be the goal? Shouldn't that be the goal in life? Just to try to do better, be the best version of yourself constantly.
Yeah, and look for that a little bit more every time, and it's that growth and that development. Yeah, that's how you get to be a champion. That's how you get to be the best, because you're always looking to grow yourself and evolve yourself. And like you said, if you feel great, okay, well, how can we get a little bit more out of you each round then? Okay, let's look at what... Yeah, and it is a balance, and it is probably one of the ones where you have to look at and go by each fight, one fight at a time. And I'm sure that, for example, when Shorty goes down to 125, I'm super interested about that. You see, I'm super interested in seeing how he looks physically and how he goes into it and how his conditioning goes, because it is a big, it doesn't seem like a lot, 35 to 25, but for that weight class, those people that size, it's huge percentage compared to Jon Jones.
Yeah, I think he's only made 25 one time, and he was like, "Man, I almost died." Not to be as dramatic, but I'm excited about it because I'm also helping him with his strength and conditioning, as well. So it really it's just exciting for the both of us, and we have some things that we're going to be doing over the next few weeks, working together. It's just going to be, I can't wait for that fight to go down.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I was speaking to Jose about just messaging him about how his weight cut and stuff like that, and he was saying, "Oh, I've got a big fight announcement." Couldn't tell me anything, the little bugger. But what kind of plans have you got then for other things have you got going on for yourself? Then obviously, have you just got a lot of guys you're looking after now, the weight cutting?
Yeah, well, I am helping a few other guys. I'm right now, I'm in Johnny Hendricks' camp for UFC 200.
Yeah.
So I'll be flying back out to Texas. I just was in Texas, came home, see the family for a little bit, and then I'll be flying out the end of this week, and I'll be out there with them for the remainder of the camp. We got 2 weeks, and then obviously fight weekend in Vegas, and then after that fight, I have a couple more announcements after Johnny's fight. So yeah, a lot of exciting things that are still ongoing. But right now, my main focus is Torres, who's fighting, I believe, August 5th, and then Hendricks, of course, who's fighting July 9th.
Yeah, it's two great things. And Johnny Hendricks, I know we lost to Steve Wonderboy, Wonderboy's just he's on that meteoric kind of run at the moment, but physically, Hendricks looked absolutely great conditioning in that cage. He looked in the best physical condition you've seen him probably for any UFC fight. He just looked in great, shredded. He looked great. I was super impressed with the way Hendricks looked.
He was healthy. Yeah, he was healthy.
Yeah,
that was my biggest concern.
Oh, it's great. I don't get me wrong. He likes his barbecues. We know. But yeah, I was impressed, man.
But just wait to see what he's going to look like for this. We're switching a few things up, and I'm really excited. We got together with his coaches. I got together with his strength and conditioning coach, and it's going to be even better. And I'm just super excited for everybody to really get to witness what we're really capable of doing together. So it's going to be really special.
Oh, I'm pumped for UFC 200 anyway. I just can't wait for that card.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. We were all talking about it, how we're excited. We want Johnny to fight. Obviously be the main event, but he's fighting a lot earlier now. So after the fight, we'll kind of get to relax and enjoy the card, and hopefully come away with the W. I think it's a great fight for Johnny. And it's just exciting, and you know what? I've spent a lot of time with him and his family, and like I said, being there is almost like being home. Because I'm with family, hanging out with his kids, and it's just like being home, with my family and my brother's kids, and so it's just it's a feel good, experience.
That's awesome, man. Look, I'm so happy things are going absolutely fantastic for you. And I know you're going to keep pushing. There's going to be more names popping along. There's going to be more people on the end of your phone asking for help. And look, thank you for giving me some of your time again, bud. Before I let you shoot off, though, what is your kind of social networking to jump onto, or how can people reach you and get advice, etc.?
First, I just want to say thank you very much. I love doing your show, man. It's always a pleasure and an honor to do your show. You guys can find me. My website is Loutrition.net. Instagram is Loutrition. Twitter is @Lou_Trition. Facebook, Loutrition. I also do own a supplement company. That's Nutrition, Nuetrition.com. You can actually email me on there. One of my business partners with the supplement company, he actually writes all my supplement protocols for a lot of the athletes that we work with. So if anybody has any specific questions regarding supplements, or really just wanting a supplement protocol designed for them, whether you use our supplements or not, we'll be more than happy to give you some friendly, free advice, educational stuff. So you can check us out on there as well.
You heard it there. Get on, people. You'd be stupid not to. Absolutely stupid. I can't wait to speak with you again in the future, and the more education for people as well. That's what it's all about. We want people to learn about every aspect, and we will have more to talk about in the future, my friend. Have a great time with Johnny Hendricks at the end of his camp.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Just big shout out to Brian Levick, the best PR rep, a great friend, and shout out to Tubby as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Brian's top man. I'm with you on that one. High five to that.
Yes, sir.